And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win. We're still in the week and a half of Who Would Win. It's going to end on Wednesday. And coming to us from the Shadow Skull 117, we have the question, the burning question that everyone wants to know. Who would in a fight, Neo or Freddy? This is a unique matchup in my mind. Let's get the obvious out of the way. In the real world, there's very few individuals that Freddy fights that Freddy would win in the real world. He's just not equipped to deal with a lot of guys in the world. He's just a standard dude because he's now got a dream demon. He's kind of a little more tankier. That's about it. But yeah, he generally gets clapped in the real one. So we're not talking about the real world. We're talking about the dream world. And when we're talking about the dream world when it comes to the Matrix, that can be its own freaking what if. Because the Matrix is a really weird situation here. Because the Matrix itself is a simulation created by the machines to keep the humans complacent and basically make them think that they're in the real world when they're not. And they're all basically unconscious and dreaming. So the Matrix, in essence, is one big artificial dream. And Freddy has complete dominion over dreams. He can, whatever, I mean, it's not really reality warp, but he can pretty much what would be the equivalent of reality warp in a dream. He can do whatever he wants in a dream. So, and it's just one giant collective dream as well. So, how does that work? Because it's technically not a dream, but it technically is. They're unconscious. And their brains are processing it like reality, but essentially it's processing it like a dream. So, logically does that work? Like, Neo in the real world dreaming is a different situation entirely to the Matrix itself. And we're talking about the real world. Would Freddy be able to beat him in the dream world? If we're just talking about him sleeping in the real world, before we even talk about them, go into the Matrix. That one, so, I mean, Neo's powers are, and if we're looking at peak Neo, I think it would be Revolutions, not Resurrections. Because Neo now was had the power of the one was tied between two people. So I don't see, that's not peak Neo in my mind. Although he does technically have access to abilities that he didn't in the original, like the deja vu reset kind of thing. I suppose you could add that on there. But if we're looking at peak Neo, it would be Matrix Revolutions Neo, basically. But his power set has always been a little undetermined. He's got super strength, durability, speed, reflexes, all that. He can fly. He's got telekinetic abilities. But beyond that, then there's like the spirit overcoming the machines, the spirit overcoming Smith. There's that. There's the technopathy even in the real world. It's a little bit, always been a little hazy on what the full extent of his powers have been, but he's still massively powerful. If we're talking about the dream world within the real world, him outside of the Matrix, and he goes toe to toe. Here's the thing: Neo is not one to really disagree. It's kind of like in the Revolutions, where it's like, why do you keep going on, Mr. Anderson? Because I choose to. Freddy, despite all of his power, I don't think could break Neo. I don't think he'd be able to break him. And that's really one of the biggest things against Freddy in a fight, even in the dream world, is mind over matter and will conquering fear. That's basically it. And if Neo even figures out he's in a dream, he can manipulate this to full effect, being the one. So in the dream world, Neo, I think, would have a good shot in the dream world. Maybe even just suddenly dragging him to him, like, what are you? And then just wakes up and brings him into the real world and then beats the hell out of him. But that's the standard one. We're talking about the really weird one here. The Matrix itself. Freddy being in the Matrix would be very weird and very dangerous for not just humans, the machines. Because by all accounts, because it is just is a simulation being created by the machines, but it's still a dream state. It's connecting it's connecting the machines with the dream world, which means hypothetically, Freddy should be able to possess a machine if he really wants to. He's possessed humans before. It's not out of the realm of possibility that if there's a machine that's sentient connected to this dream world, making it happen, he can bypass the dream world, the Matrix, and the bridge to reality, and possess a machine. So there's a what if in and of itself. Freddy becomes the overlord of the Matrix, but in the Matrix itself, he would still have all of his powers. But now he's kind of also bending electronics, the code and data, to his will. Neo, for all his power in the Matrix, is still limited. Morpheus says, "You are limited by only your mind. Limited by your limitations are only what you perceive them to be." But even with that, there still seems to be a lot of physical limits to what they can do. It's like your mind makes it real. So because of that, Neo is actually going to be at an extreme disadvantage. Where if you think that Smith in Revolutions was kind of god tier to some degree, which I don't think most people do, he definitely had the Oracle's precognition. He was able to bend the Matrix to his law, possess others, so forth and so on. But no, Freddy literally could turn into a kaiju, a deity. He could literally just take the entire Matrix if he wanted to, the entire world, and just hold it in his hand and crush it like a wet nap. If he wanted, that's a level of power Freddy has in the dream world. And he'd probably also be wondering, what the hell is this new world? Like Freddy, in this scenario, Freddy would definitely have been around prior to the Matrix existing, and then most people would have forgotten about him, except for maybe a few random people who maybe got caught and put in the Matrix. It's like, no, we can't. You can't put me to sleep. You give him all the power. You'll give him all the. And then they go to sleep, and Freddy's like, well, this is a dream, but they're all walking around like it's nothing. It's like, yeah, you. It's like, oh my God, what the hell? What's wrong with you? Oh. It's like, is this the real? I think Freddy would be confused at first. I think definitely he'd be confused. Like, is this the real? No. It's like, and he just tests out there. He sees a car, just swipes, and the tires go like, this is a dream, a mass dream, and just disappears. And so Freddy's wreaking havoc. Enter Neo and all of them in the Matrix. And initially, Neo would be putting up a good fight, I think. Neo would definitely be able to, he's the better fighter in theory. He's got the telekinesis, all that. Absolutely. But Freddy just is God in the dream world. And I think, take Neo out of the equation, even the agents would be like, this is an anomaly we need to take the hell care of right now. We need to get this thing out. And he just, oh, you got no strings to hold me down. Easy. He's just puppeteer mannequins and and just turns into Freddyzilla, whatever. He would just go insane. And everyone's freaking the hell out. And eventually, the machines and Neo would have to reach an agreement. This is almost turning more into a what if than a who would. I just realized. Would have to reach some sort of agreement of okay, we work together a little bit. I will help you. And one of the few people who remembered Freddy shows up. And I think that would be the key here, is if the knowledge of how to get rid of Freddy is still available, which in theory it would be, and the machines are able to key into it, well, we just have to get him out of here. It's like, leave it to me. And so once again, Neo, just as he would do in the real world, starts fighting him, using all of his power, just kind of does whatever he can, just either crushes him or contains him. Freddy reverts back to his human form. Neo grabs, do it, and they just pulls him to a phone. It's like, and the phone's ringing. It's like, oh, what? What? You ran out of minutes? And it's like, no, it's for you, and just pulls him out. And then they just gang up and beat on Freddy. Again, like I said, but there'd be a catch to the end of this. He's possessed the machine, is now in the real world. It's like, time to play. So, ultimately, Freddy would be horrifying in the Matrix. He would be a god. a straight god in the Matrix. There would be no one who could do a damn thing against him, really. Neo would be the closest. The machines probably wouldn't even be able to do much against him. It would take a collaborated effort, but Neo, I think, is smart enough, can strategize enough, and would be able to figure out eventually weaknesses or whatnot of Freddy to be able, I think, to pull out a win. But let's be very clear here. Freddy could easily overcome Neo in the dream world. In the dream world, be it reality. I think reality, really enough, he has a better shot because he's not in a controlled dream is what basically, that's, I guess, the best way to describe the Matrix. It's an artificial controlled dream where nothing's getting too wacky, even when you realize you're in the dream. Versus your own dream where literally your limitation is just your mind and your imagination and your will. So either way, I would probably take Neo in both cases, but Freddy, like if we're doing numbers, this is razor thin margin if we're talking about in the Matrix itself. So I don't know. That's my take. I would go Neo, but this is one of those cases in the dream world where other individuals are smart enough to really put it to Freddy and like overcome him through sheer will, or just have powers that would kind of supersede his. No, you put him in a Matrix scenario and all hell's gonna break loose. And it would be a wacky fight indeed. But that's just my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.